Hello and welcome to this Jane's Weather Update. Let's take a look at what we have on this Friday, the 21st of June, the shortest day of the year. There is a bit of a cloud band coming here through Queensland, but that doesn't really have any rain underneath it. You can see the falls that are in through here as a large low pressure system is moving across the southeast. Now you'll notice there's no connection to tropical moisture, so the falls haven't been overly large with this one, and it is rolling on through. We'll move out over the Tasman Sea. This guy here, this is our Tasman Sea low pressure. It has now been there for about a week and a half. It is cradled by high pressure, so it makes it really, really hard for it to move anywhere. And by sitting itself here, that means our winds come up from the south and blow southerly air all up the east coast here, and that's why we have the extended chill. Over in the west, it's a nice day today. You can see there's northerly winds coming in there, and here's the next weather system set to come through. That's coming in on Saturday. Okay, so let's take a look. What is causing all of this? Having a look at this one through here. Here's our cradling high pressure that is just surrounding that low pressure system that is over the Tasman Sea. Here's our latest low that is rolling through, 1017. It's practically a high pressure system. It is not very low at all. It is certainly not deep. It doesn't have a tropical moisture feed, so it isn't producing any big rainfalls. Here's high pressure in behind it. That'll move out into the eastern states in through here, and this one will come up. So we're kind of in a pattern at the moment where cold fronts are peaking over the west of the country. High pressure is dominating over the east, and occasionally we can get either a cold front, do a bit of a belly flop across the southeast, or have a weak cut-off low come through, and that very stubborn low that is sitting over the Tasman Sea. So in terms of rainfall, here's our next week. We've got several systems that are becoming into the southwest there, and you can see just how far inland they extend before they run out of juice. So that's where the strong peaking cold fronts are moving across the country, as they have been doing over the past several weeks. In the southeast, you can kind of see here, actually, I'll show you a diagram here that's this really shows it. So here's all of the green coming through here. You can see it peaking in the west and then coming across here and literally, like I said, doing a bit of a belly flop as it moves into the southeast. And that's very clear because here's the Great Dividing Range. As soon as that rain hits that, it comes in from the west and it dries up as it heads across to the east or heads across into the south. So these parts of Victoria and these parts of New South Wales are less likely to see that rainfall because this is a system that comes in from the west and its trajectory has it moving down in through here rather than up in through here or in from the southeast. Okay, so heading back to here, so nice falls over in the southwest. That'll keep coming over the next week as each front moves through. We've got this doing a belly flop over the southeast, so it really hits the ranges there. You don't see a lot on the southern side, but there are some nice falls north of the divide. You've got it moving across here, not really extending into the north, and then this is just the remains of the system that's moving through over the weekend, not next week. You can also see that in Tasmania. Here's the area that's missing out because they are belly flopping across the southeast, so it comes down and affects the north and the far west rather than the southeast, again, because of the ranges. All right, something that is standing out here is this in Queensland. Hello, this is the very last week of June. It should be fairly dry by now, so yes, this is some out-of-season rain that's coming in. It's not in the short term, it is mid to late next week. We'll go into some detail shortly. All right, so day by day, here is Friday. We've got the remains of that low moving in through here. We'll just concentrate on this for a minute. So there's Friday, it's cleared the west. Here is Saturday. It's working its way up the east coast, not inland. It's now on the eastern side of the ranges and in through here. And by Sunday, there it is. So yes, that is another extension of that cold air pushing its way up the east coast. There is no sign of relief from that just yet. So we've got some rain and some colder air working its way north as we go across the weekend. Let's have a look over in the west. Here we are today. Nothing coming into the southwest on Friday. On Saturday, this one moves through. This one here isn't overly strong, but again, look, it's got that feed of moisture coming in from the incredibly warm Indian Ocean in through there. So that sets it up as it comes in, moving inland, but not much left of it by Sunday. Heading into Monday, just the remains of that now. It is clearing away. This one now moving over the Bight and into South Australia. Heading further south, here it is, the next one to move across the southeast. You can really see that belly flop, how it hits the ranges there, it hits the north, and it dries out as it moves into the south. It is that northern part of Tasmania and not the southeast, and certainly doesn't hit anywhere here, the eastern side of the ranges. Okay, so that is Tuesday. Let's move into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Here's our next big system coming into the southwest. So that's the next huge one. They get it Saturday, just sort of drying out on Sunday and then waiting until Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week. Having a look in the east, that's when this one steps in through here. So a bit of a feed of tropical moisture running into low pressure. Interesting, something to keep an eye on. And we've got this one, you can see it's setting up there. It's taking the next couple of days to move across the southeast. Okay, so this is where we're looking at next week. Now, if you're in the eastern states, you'll see that red and probably get a little bit excited because it has been quite chilly for quite a long time. I'm going to go back in history so that we can see here. So last Thursday, you would have seen this in the video if you caught that last week. And this is the forecast for this week that we're in now. Here's all of that blue. So that was the cold air, essentially, not cold snap because it's lasted for quite some time, the cold spell, the lengthy cold spell that we are in. And you can see it is reaching its way right up into the north, but incredibly warm air that was over the interior here before that cloud band came in. Alice Springs, 27, 28 degrees. Doesn't that sound nice? Their average for June is 20. So that really puts that kind of into perspective about how we're doing here in the east versus just in through here on the other side of the high. Okay, so that's this week, the week we're currently in. Let's move to the new guidance and having a look at, there we go, let's pick the right date. So this is next week, and this shows that we're going to have a little bit of a break from all of that deep chill that has been coming into the east. So that's nice. Now, it won't be warm. It won't be warm, and it won't be warm all the time. There are still weather systems moving through, but less of those frosty nights and less of those cold days. Instead, the cold air is coming to the southwest, particularly with that big system that comes through at the end of the week. Okay, so that's next week in terms of temperature. We had a quick look at this before. This is next week in terms of precipitation, peaking in the west, falling across the southeast, and this system coming into Queensland in through here with a bit of a feed of tropical moisture. So essentially, that system comes across here on about Wednesday. It's got upper level energy in the form of a cold pool that rolls across the southeast, and that energy that's sitting in that upper atmosphere, if it can trigger a feed of moisture, they work together to produce that out of season rain. So that's what we're looking at there. What about week 2? So here we are, the last week of June. Let's have a look at the first week of July. Some colder air coming back into the east. Interesting. Bit of a warm tinge in through here, also interesting. Heat building in through here again. Okay, nothing overly clear cut on that, but perhaps back to cooler air coming in. Having a look at the precipitation part of that, this is the first week of July. Not as much in through here. What's this in here? We've got something feeding in from that western part there. So a feed of tropical moisture is perhaps coming in. It's not coming in from up here, but more halfway through. We've had them sort of coming in this part here. This looks like we're going to see another one of those. Over in the east, not overly brown, but you'll notice this in through here. Does this mean we've got another low pressure system that is going to be setting itself up over the Tasman Sea, dragging that cold air back up over the east and pushing wet weather in from the coast? Perhaps that's where we're heading in terms of week 2, which is the first week of July. All right, having a look at our SAM. This tells us that we have strong cold fronts at the moment. Tick, yes, we know that. We've got them moving across the southwest. That's where they peak and then fall across the southeast. Having a look at the MJO, this is our feeds of tropical moisture. Okay, we've had this sitting in through here for quite some time, the light grey colour. Now it is over here, and here we are about the 21st. It has just done a little bit of a drive-by past here. It's not strong, but that may explain what brings that moisture into Queensland next week. Interesting. Where's it heading after that? This was expected to come in through here and then maybe come back to us around the middle of July. So that could be our next connection to the tropics that could feed a big rain system that may perhaps come across the south. Okay, let's have a look at our sea surface temperature anomaly, how much warmer or cooler than average it is. Heading over into the Indian Ocean first of all. We did have some blues spike in through here, which was interesting. That was against what the models were suggesting, but now they have weakened off as you'd expect them to do. So it was just a little bit of a blip in what was going on. Generally, across all of here, it is all in that orange and red category, which is warmer than average. Without a dipole in through here, we're not pushing that moisture either away from Australia, if it was all blues here and oranges there, or towards Australia, if it was all blues here and oranges in through here. The fact that both of them are orange means everyone gets access to the moisture that the Indian Ocean provides. It's not pushed anywhere in particular. So having a look at the Indian Ocean forecast, we've been bouncing around. It tried to go into a positive IOD. It's come out of that now, tried to go back in. It's now firmly here. The forecasting has changed over the past couple of weeks. we now have this guy going down in through here and coming right down across this threshold into a negative IOD. We have these guys that are still up on this side, but have a look at all of these. None of them are crossing that threshold now. So things have changed in the Indian Ocean, and we've only got one of those that is moving across there. So this tells me the fact that this has hardly changed over the past, pretty much since the beginning of the year. It's just all very in the warmer category. So that means there's no clear signal from the Indian Ocean as to whether the tap gets turned off or whether it gets extra push towards us here. So it's neither of those situations. It's neutral with a source of moisture whenever we can get it to feed into our weather systems. All right, having a look on the other side, which is the Pacific Ocean. This is our El Nino or La Nina. Over in the box here, it is very slowly, as we're expecting it to do, getting more of these blues coming in. It hasn't really moved much over the last couple of weeks. They sprung up and then they kind of just sat there. So it hasn't really progressed much, and we've still got a fair bit of yellow that is out through there. Now the offset here off the coast of Queensland here, we've got those warm yellows. So if that all turns blue and this remains all in the orange zone, then yes, that is a dipole in this ocean. It is in imbalance, and so the ocean tries to correct itself, and so it pushes all that tropical moisture towards us. So this is heading into a situation where we may have an extra feed of tropical moisture. Here's what the forecasting is showing. So here we were in our El Nino from last year that didn't have the effect a normal one would because we didn't have those cool blues off Queensland to push that moisture away. We also had an incredibly warm Tasman Sea as an alternative source of moisture. So yes, strong El Nino. Here we are very firmly out of that now. We've got 1, 2, 3 models that are going across in July, August. They have been forecasting that pretty much since the start of the year, so we're on track for that. The next one isn't until October, November. Now that's very November, so that has extended itself out. This one isn't coming close to that threshold anymore, and these two are remaining firmly right in the neutral zone here. So it's either going where all of that box turns quite blue, predominantly blue, which pushes that moisture, an excess of moisture towards Australia, or we sit here in our neutral territory as we are now, where we've got warm water off the coast of us, we've got warm water out there, kind of a mix of it that's moving through, and with that warm water of Queensland, we still have a feed of moisture that we have access to. Okay, let's head into some forecasts. So here we are at janesweather.com. I've chosen Wangaratta. Now, I'm not quite sure why Google addresses calls it the rural city of Wangaratta, but that's where we are today. And we have our cold nights. So we've had the rain moving through. That has now cleared. We've got -1s, -2, -2. So the next 3 nights, the frost does continue in through here as the high pressure system moves across. So there it is as we move in, barely a cloud in the sky. That changes on Monday. We'll get high cloud coming first of all. That's the last frosty morning, and then we are up because we've got northerly winds and we also have that cloud cover to stop that frost. So the next rain is likely to come through here. 3 millimeters is the average on Tuesday, 5 on Wednesday, 1 on Thursday. So that is as the next low pressure system rolls across the southeast Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week. All right, taking a look at where we're heading now. Let's head up to Queensland and have a look at what's happening. 24 is the top today, but then you'll see back into the low 20s, just 21 here. Have a look at these minimums, going back down again, and then just 11 and 13. So that's that next surge of cold air that is coming up and making it right up into Queensland there. So there's no wet weather with that, just a hint of it here and a little bit of cloud too. Otherwise, it is fairly dry, and we move into those fairly chilly nights as well. Then things change. Overnight low, 19. Overnight low, 20. Right, something's happening. We've definitely got some cloud that is in through there, and here is our wet weather. So that is that feed of tropical moisture coming in, the upper level energy from the next low that's rolling across the southeast that was started by that strong system moving across the southwest of the country, and all of that could work together to produce this out-of-season rain from Wednesday next week. Now, you may be asking, what is that going to do to our snowfield? So head to Jane's Update, head into the snow forecast, having a look here. Whoa, there are some big numbers on here. We've got 102 centimetres. Now, have a look at the other number, that is 14 centimetres. So having a look at the majors here, you've got 12, 15, 18, 14 as the bottom tier. And then you've got up in the 80s, 95, 69, 102. So big falls from one model light falls from another model. This is the range of all 4 models. Where can we see that? Head down into our advanced snow forecast. Here's Buller, for example, and it is each day what each of those weather models are actually projecting in terms of snowfall. So here's the remains of that system moving across today. I'll move over to, say, Perisher, because that's got higher falls because it is closer to where that wet weather is coming in and this big push of rain that is coming up through Gippsland and just hitting the ranges in through there today. Okay, so that is what's coming in through there. We go into our break as high pressure comes in, so nothing Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Cloud builds Monday, and then have a look at the range of weather models here. Australia 31, USA 0. We've got 8 and then 1, so that's going for about the 8, maybe 10 centimetres. This one is heading into the sort of 2025. Australia is loving this next system. Really, really juicy, really, really cold, and that equals snow. But it's just one system that likes it. And we know if it's only one system that likes it, put the brakes on. Let's not get too excited just yet because the other 3 are not saying the same thing. We want all of those models to be saying something similar before we get excited over this. And having a look at the Euro, that's more around the 20, 25 centimetre mark. So I'd say something, yes, is coming next week. There are some question marks on whether it'll be cold enough to begin as snow, particularly on that Tuesday, because that's the warm-up ahead of the next system. We saw these charts here, and it had, sorry, let's go back to this week, and we had a little bit of a warm-up in the southeast, so in the eastern states there. So that may impact what is going on here. But there is a nice potential for some snow to come through there. Maybe not those huge falls that are coming in. Okay, that's it from me. Head to janesweather.com. There's a free 30-day trial if you haven't taken advantage of that, where you get access to all of this and really keep up to date with what's happening at your spot. I'll see you next week. Bye.